Revealed. From shame to triumph, his ex-wife arrives in a limo with their 3 amazing triplets. Jake wiped the grease off his hands, staring at the cracked concrete of the garage floor. Life hadn't always felt this heavy. At 35, he was a mechanic, a dad, and often felt just a shadow of who he used to be. He sighed, longing for the days when his life felt filled with promise. The time before the whirlwind romance with Lindsay fell apart. The sound of laughter drew his eyes to the door as his 3 energetic triplets, Lucas, Grace, and Caleb, raced in, their laughter louder than the clanking tools around him. They filled his modest home with joy, even as he worked long hours just to keep the lights on. But today felt different. Before the morning sun had set fully, his world tilted on its axis. A sleek, black limo pulled into the gravel lot beside his rusted pickup. The car gleamed, casting reflections of light that danced wickedly across his rough hands. Felt surreal, like a scene out of a movie. Then the door opened, and there she was, Lindsay, sharp and polished, a version of herself that Jake hadn't recognized. The triplets raced toward her, their squeals cutting through his heart like knives. There she stood, the woman who had once shared dreams with him, and now effortlessly embodied success, a life where stability seemed far from his reach. The smiles on their children's faces hurt more than he anticipated. This new narrative, one of triumph, anchored by the shimmer of a limo, made his heart feel tight. As the school year kicked off, the sense of looming judgment nipped at Jake's heels. Whispers littered with pity and scrutiny drifted in the air of their suburban neighborhood like autumn leaves in the wind. "Look at Jake," they said. "He's just a mechanic." Those words echoed in his mind, gnawing at his self-worth. Every neighborhood barbecue felt like a gauntlet of looks and comments, a parade of reminders of how he didn't measure up to Lindsay's polished life. But the community event at the local park was where the boiling point came. Children laughed and played. The sounds of joy punctuated the air, and Jake felt like a ghost wandering among the vibrant spirits of his neighbors. As he stood there clutching his lemonade, the whispers of judgment intensified. Fueled by frustration, Jake found Lindsay across the way, shielding the triplets with her confident laughter. How had it come to this? He strode over to her, confrontation simmering in a way he hadn't anticipated. They exchanged words, their conversation a frantic dance around the scattered pieces of their shared history, love intertwined with bitterness. But just as he began to feel the weight of defeat, an unexpected surge of voices came from the crowd. Neighbors he barely knew stepped forward, applauding him for the hours he worked to support his family, celebrating his dedication as a father. A warm rush of validation washed over him, like sunlight bursting through a cloudy sky. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Jake realized he was standing at a crossroads. The love inside him was growing, strengthened by the support of his neighbors, battling against the shadows of shame. As Lindsay's gaze caught his, hope stirred like a flame in his heart. Could he rise above this moment? Could they find a way to navigate their past together and redefine their path? As Jake stood there, clenching his fists in determination and uncertainty, the question lingered like the evening sun. Could this be the moment to reclaim his story? Jake's heart raced as he stood in the fading light, trying to process the whirlwind of emotions that surrounded him. The supportive cheers of the crowd still echoed in his ears, their warmth wrapping around him like a comforting blanket in a storm. At this moment, with all eyes momentarily off him, he had a chance to dig deeper. He needed to look into himself and confront his vulnerabilities, not just as a man but as a father. "Hey, Dad," Lucas called out, pulling him from his thoughts. The triplets bounded over, their tiny faces alight with joy, tugging at his hands. "Can we go play on the swings?" Jake looked down at them, their innocence a stark contrast to the swirling storm of doubts in his mind. "Sure," "Let us go," he replied, forcing a smile. The three of them bolted ahead, their little feet pounding on the grass as he followed. Laughter bubbled up inside him, a reminder of the simple joys that once filled his days. Watching them climb the swings, he felt the hints of a lightness he had long forgotten. But the self-doubt still lingered. Lindsay stood just a few yards away, chatting with neighbors, her laughter bright and carefree. Each peal rang in his ears like a bell, reminding him of everything he felt he wasn't. "Look, Dad!" Grace shouted, swinging higher, her hair flying in the breeze. Jake couldn't help but marvel at their energy. They didn't see the obstacles, only opportunities to play. Their joy inspired him, urging him to embrace these small moments even against the backdrop of his insecurities. "Can you push us?" Caleb called, breaking through his reverie. Jake stepped up, pushing them gently, feeling the tension start to ebb with each push. Each time he saw their faces light up, it brought a little spark back into his heart. In their laughter, he found pieces of himself: identity, strength, determination. But Lindsay had captured everyone's attention. As an observer in the swirling crowd, he felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Why did it feel like he was being measured against her? What were people seeing in him? The moment felt fragile, and he clung to the joy his children gave him, hoping it would be enough to shield him from the creeping doubts. Just as he pushed the last triplet, he felt a presence beside him. It was Lindsay, standing there, an aura of confidence radiating from her. "You're doing a great job with them, Jake," she said softly, her eyes reflecting genuine admiration. His breath caught for a moment. The sincerity in her voice chipped away at the unease that had shadowed him for so long. "Thanks," he muttered, unsure of how to respond. The past loomed between them, but here they were, together, united by their kids, and just as quickly as they connected, a shadow flickered over her expression. "The school called me earlier," she said, hesitation creeping in. "They want to discuss something important." "About the kids?" Panic flickered across Jake's mind. What now? Was this about academic performance? Behavior? It felt like the ground shifted beneath him as uncertainty gripped him. "What do you mean? They want to talk about their progress, and I thought it might be worth discussing it together." The concern in her voice echoed in his chest. What did they see that he didn't? What if he wasn't enough? Before he could respond, a voice chimed in from the crowd, pulling them back to the present. Jake glanced at the triplets who were now dangling from the swings, faces alight with excitement. He realized then it wasn't just about him or Lindsay. It was about them. Their children had their own journeys ahead. "Let us go talk later," he finally said, unsure but resolved. As they turned toward the kids, Jake wondered if this unexpected meeting was a turning point for their family. Could navigating this together lead to understanding, healing, a glimmer of hope? With those thoughts racing, he felt the weight of the world shift just a little. The air around them crackled with potential, and at that moment, he couldn't shake the feeling that answers were just around the corner. What if this moment was not just a chance to reclaim his story, but a chance for them all to rebuild theirs together? The swing set creaked gently as the triplets continued to squeal with delight. Jake watched them, heart swelling amid the laughter, but the air was still charged with uncertainty. He could sense Lindsay's gaze lingering on him, and it prompted a wave of discomfort. Just moments before, they had shared something close to intimacy. Now it felt like a fragile truce. "Jake," Lindsay's voice cut through his thoughts again. "We should probably find a time before the meeting. We need to talk about the kids, right?" He didn't mean to interrupt, but the words tumbled out, clipped and edged with anxiety. Lindsay drew in a breath, her expression unreadable. "Yes, we should be prepared, and maybe not just for them. For us too." As the weight of her words settled in, Lucas let out a triumphant cheer, having learned to pump his legs and swing higher. His success seemed to echo in the air, and Jake couldn't help but smile. "Look at him. He's flying. Just like his dad used to," Lindsay replied, a flicker of playful nostalgia threading her voice. "You remember those camp days?" Jake shifted uneasily, torn between wanting to share that memory and the reality of their present. They had taken countless trips to camp, where he had once felt so whole, so alive, surrounded by nature and adventure. Now, those moments felt clouded distant. He looked back at the triplets. Every push on the swing rekindled something he had nearly buried under layers of doubt. You could see it rushing towards him, that sensation of joy wrapped in the innocence of their laughter. It's their world now, he said softly, almost to himself. They deserve both of you, Jake. A faint seriousness clouded Lindsay's eyes, tugging at him. Yeah, I know. He didn't want to fight. The glimmer of connection earlier felt too precious to shatter. Maybe we do this right for their sake. As if sensing the charged atmosphere, Grace jumped off the swing, her tiny feet still barely landing on the ground. Daddy, let us race, she exclaimed, pulling him away from the moment with Lindsay. All right. Jake laughed, his heart lightening. All right. But no cheating. Jake felt a surge of energy as he took off after her, their laughter mixing with the fading sunlight as he chased her around the playground. For those moments, it felt as if the weight of the world slipped away. He reveled in the pure, simple joy that surrounded him. But as he turned, panting and exhilarated, he spotted Lindsay watching him from the side, a soft smile on her face. Yet beneath that smile was an unspoken concern. She was wondering, just like he was, if this would be enough. Moments later, after a few more races, all four squeezed onto a large swing meant for more. The world around them faded, but the knot in his stomach returned as the last rays of sunlight dwindled. Next week is going to be, his voice trailed off instinctively. He didn't want to put a damper on their fun, but the upcoming meeting loomed. He had read the signs in Lindsay's face, the weight of expectation. What, Dad? Caleb's face turned upwards with curiosity. Jake leaned back, heart racing again. This is going to be a tough one, buddy, he replied tentatively. But we'll figure it out. Together. Together. The trio echoed, glee triumphantly returning to their voices. Jake couldn't help but smile at their innocence. But as the sun dipped completely behind the horizon, an unsettling thought washed over him. Was it possible that talking with Lindsay could lead to a greater understanding of what they needed, not just about the kids but about them too? As the evening darkened around them, their laughter continued to ring, but Jake felt a rush of anticipation. He had to know, could they really navigate this new chapter together? Just then, a sleek black car pulled up at the edge of the park, its headlights cutting through the twilight. As the door swung open, Jake's breath hitched. A figure emerged, a rush of questions forming in his mind. Who was it? What did this change? With uncertainty tightening in his chest, he turned to Lindsay, searching her face for answers. Lindsay's expression shifted from curiosity to alarm as the figure stepped into view. Jake's heart raced, each beat thrumming against his ribcage like a warning bell. He squinted against the car's headlights, trying to make out who it was. The figure moved closer, illuminated by the fading light, long dark hair, confident stride. It only took a moment for Jake to recognize her. Emily. His heart dropped, and his throat tightened. What was she doing here? What is she doing here? Lindsay's question broke through Jake's stunned silence. I don't know, he stammered, grappling with the mix of emotions swirling inside. The laughter of his kids faded, replaced by a thick tension. Mommy! Caleb shouted, excitement flashing across his face as he dashed toward Emily. The triplets followed suit, leaping off the swing and bounding like little balls of energy. Hey, little ones! Missed you so much! Emily knelt to embrace them, her smile bright and warm. Jake felt an overwhelming rush of nostalgia, the familiar pull of what had once been a life that felt so far away now. What's she doing here? Lindsay's voice was firmer, edged with worry. I don't know, Jake replied, his eyes locked onto the scene unfolding before him. He felt paralyzed, battling the uncertainty of how this would shape everything going forward. Emily caught sight of Jake, her expression shifting, just for a heartbeat. Jake, good to see you, she called, that friendly tone laced with an undertone he couldn't quite read. Yeah, you too, he managed, forcing a smile he didn't feel. His mind raced with questions, memories, all colliding with the setting sun. Why now? Why here? Lindsay stayed planted beside the swing, arms crossed, a storm brewing in her eyes. This isn't good, she whispered, almost to herself. The triplets were lost in their excitement, oblivious to the churning emotions swirling around them. Jake's heart wrenched as he watched them, their joy a bright light against the shadows forming in his mind. Okay, everyone, let us gather around. Emily's voice rang out with a cheerfulness that seemed to cut through the tension. I've got a surprise for you. What could possibly be a surprise? Jake thought, scrambling to keep his composure. He could feel Lindsay's eyes boring into him, demanding answers. What were they supposed to feel? How could they balance the weight of this moment? The kids jumped up and down, radiating excitement, leaving no space for the adult turmoil. What is it, Mommy? Grace squealed, her little face bursting with eagerness. Emily winked at them, pulling something from her pocket. Let us just say it involves pizza and a movie night, my treat. Lindsay's expression crumpled. Pizza? You can't just show up and okay. Okay, let us calm down. Jake interrupted softly, holding Lindsay's gaze. Let us just see where this goes. He took a step forward, joining the children as they gathered around Emily. Maybe we can make it a family thing? He suggested, trying to defuse the tension that clung to the air like thick fog. The little ones beamed, their voices overlapping in excitement. Family movie night. Yay! Yet, in his heart, dread twisted. The air was electric with possibility, but the stakes had never been higher. Jake, he heard Lindsay's voice again, thick with apprehension. We need to talk. Now. With the laughter of the triplets echoing in his ears, Jake faced an overwhelming wave of uncertainty. Could this really work? Could he keep the balance of two worlds inching closer together? As they all gathered, he glanced at Emily's warm expression, now battling with Lindsay's frown. The chaos and confusion had only just begun, and with every passing heartbeat, he wondered what this reality might bring, for them and for the kids. What lay beneath that surface of excitement? Underneath the laughter and the chaos? Together, he thought again, but uncertainty clawed at him. As they all shifted toward Emily, ready for whatever surprise she had in store, a question lingered in the air. Would they all be able to find a way to be a family, or was this just the beginning of something even more complicated? Jake's heart raced as the kids crowded around Emily, their joyous squeals filling the air. But despite the smiles plastered on their faces, an uneasy tension anchored Jake to the spot. Lindsay stood stiff, arms still crossed, her expression a mixture of disbelief and anger. Can we talk? Lindsay's voice was low but laced with urgency, pulling at Jake like a current threatening to sweep him away. Just a second, he replied, trying to deflect her. He wanted to give this moment a chance, to not let it drown in adult worries. An air of nostalgia drifted through him, the laughter of the triplets drawing his mind back to simpler days, family movie nights, pizza boxes sprawled across the living room floor, and the warmth of having everyone together. Jake! Lindsay's tone sharpened like a knife slicing through the happy noise. We really need to talk. This isn't just a surprise visit. Jake hesitated, torn between his past, one that felt buried, yet tantalizingly close, and the present, which was precariously balanced. Let us see how it goes. Okay? For them, he said, nodding toward the excited children. Lindsay looked at him, her blue eyes swirling with frustration and hurt. You're really okay with this? Before he could respond, Emily clapped her hands, drawing all eyes back to her. Okay. I need all your attention. I brought pizza and she produced a stack of movies from behind her. Some of your favorites. Who's ready for movie night? The kids erupted into a chorus of cheers, yelling out titles, their exuberance infectious. Jake couldn't help but smile, even as anxiety coiled in the pit of his stomach. Still, within that joy lingered a specter of past traumas, memories carved with pain. Okay, let us get the pizza out first, Emily announced. She went to the car, and Jake found himself involuntarily following, almost mesmerized by the familiar movements of his ex-wife. The way she laughed softly with the kids brought a flurry of tenderness crashing toward him. yet his heart tightened around the reality of their fractured lives. Lindsay stood by, her body rigid. She watched them with narrowed eyes. The tension radiating from her was almost palpable. "Jake, can we just talk? Please? Just give me a minute," he replied, his voice strained. Turning back to Emily, he caught her eye. "You didn't have to bring this, it's unexpected." "I know," she said softly, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her voice. "But it's what they need. I want them to feel normal, Jake." His stomach churned. Normalcy felt like a mirage. But what does this mean for us? For them? The questions hung in the air like a storm cloud. Emily paused, contemplating, and for a moment, Jake saw the flicker of the old Emily he once knew, before everything had unraveled. "I don't know," she finally admitted, her voice softening. "I just thought maybe we could start fresh?" Before Jake could form a reply, Lindsay's voice sliced through the moment. "You can't just waltz in here after all this time and expect everything to be fine." Jake turned sharply, the plea in Lindsay's voice a mixture of pain and anger. He felt torn, a man caught between two worlds. As the kids danced around, blissfully unaware of the adult's struggle, Jake realized he was at a crossroads. Could he truly embrace a fresh start with Emily? Or would it only lead to more heartbreak? As the laughter continued, the questions loomed heavy in his heart. Would this night be the first step toward healing or the beginning of a rift that could tear their world apart once again? He felt the weight of the moment collapsing around him, a fragile thread tying his past and present. All he could do was stand there, knowing the night would reveal so much more. When Emily glanced back at him, her smile faltered, as if she felt the confusion and uncertainty swirling between them. "Jake, maybe we can work this out." His pulse quickened as he faced the reality of what she had just said. Was it truly possible for old wounds to heal, or would they just reopen with every choice they made? "Together?" he asked, testing the waters, but the fear of the answer clawed at him. As he looked into her eyes, he couldn't shake the feeling that the night was just beginning and the answers would come crashing down like a wave. Would they be ready for what lay ahead? Jake stood between Lindsay and Emily, each tugging at his heart in different directions. The laughter of the kids faded into a soft background hum, leaving a heavy silence where his thoughts battled within him. Could he really navigate this delicate situation without causing harm to anyone involved? "Would you just listen to me for a minute?" Lindsay's voice cracked, piercing through the noise of the kids. There was raw vulnerability in her eyes, the kind that made Jake feel as if he were on the edge of a precipice, teetering with uncertainty. Okay, he conceded, taking a step closer to her. The cluster of excited triplets faded into the background. "Let us talk." Lindsay didn't let go of his gaze. This is a mistake, Jake. You can't just pretend everything is fine. You know we've been through too much for you to just dive back into this. Jake swallowed hard. He didn't want to admit how much he yearned for things to be simpler again, less complicated than the tangled web they found themselves in. "I'm not trying to pretend. I want to see if there is a way to fix this. For them." He gestured towards the kids munching on pizza, their eyes glued to the familiar animated characters flashing on the screen. Lindsay let out a shaky breath. "And what's in it for you, Jake? A chance to rekindle whatever spark you lost? You don't think this is going to hurt them?" The crack in her voice tugged at him. The worry on her face mirrored his own uncertainties. He felt heat rise in his cheeks, embarrassed and defensive. "No, it's just," he searched for words, but each slipped through his fingers like sand. Emily approached, just as lost in this web of reasoning. "Lindsay, I didn't mean to cause any problems." "I thought," Jake interrupted, urgency pulsing in him. "Emily, this isn't about blame. It's about what we want for the kids. Can we all agree that they deserve to feel safe and loved? That shouldn't change no matter what has happened between us." Lindsay's brow furrowed. "But how do you know this isn't just a fleeting moment? You have to be careful. They are not tools for past regrets, Jake." Baby sounds from the kids, laughter and chatter, were starting to feel far away. He felt an urge to step closer to Emily, to remind himself of a time when they were a family. Yet the memory flashed like a warning sign. What if they do see something in us, something we don't? Emily's voice too was soft, like a gentle breeze stirring up all the dormant emotions that lay beneath. What if they take this as hope, as a chance to believe in family again? It has to start somewhere, Jake replied, searching both of their faces for answers. Lindsay looked at him, then at Emily, torn. But at what cost? She asked, her voice trembling as it echoed the fear brewing in the back of his mind. As the weight of her question settled in the air, the laughter from the kids suddenly faded. The atmosphere grew thick with tension. Jake realized he could no longer ignore the gravity of their actions. They carried the potential for hope but also the lingering threat of pain. He took a deep breath. I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to try. For them. For all of us. There was a long pause, where even the chatter from the triplets died down and they sensed the tension, glancing at their parents with confusion. Okay. Lindsay finally relented, her voice breaking as a few tears threatened to spill. But we have to lay down some ground rules. We have to protect them, our kids. No more past resentment. No broken promises. Jake nodded. Relief washed over him. But then came the ache of uncertainty. How could they maintain this fragile truce? And would they have the strength to change? Emily watched them with a mixture of hope and dread. So what's the first step? Jake opened his mouth, but the answer eluded him. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something monumental, poised to step forward or backward. In that pregnant pause, he felt the vibration of the moment shift, the unknown looming ahead. Would they find the way to transform their fractured family into something beautiful again, or would the shadows of their past consume them? As the night thickened, those questions swirled in his mind and pierced through him, whispering of hidden truths and potential heartbreak. But in the silence, something unexpected flickered alive in his heart, a tiny ember of something that resembled hope. Would it be enough to guide them through the storm? Jake stared into the uncertain space between Lindsay and Emily, the weight of their shared history threatening to crush him. He wanted to propose a way forward, to draw a path that might mend what had broken, but the uncertainty gnawed at him. Okay, he finally murmured. Maybe the first step is just being honest. With ourselves and with each other. Lindsay nodded slowly, her eyes shimmering with fresh tears. We've avoided facing our truths for too long. Maybe that's where we start. Then let us lay it all out on the table, Emily suggested, her tone fierce despite the tremor in her voice. What do we all want? No hiding. I want the kids to be happy. I want them to feel like they belong, Jake said, his throat tight as he spoke. He glanced towards the triplets, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in their parents' hearts. Their laughter pierced through the hope and tension swirling around them. And I want that too, Lindsay added, her voice steadier now. But I can't ignore the past. There's a lot of hurt there, Jake. How can we move forward if we don't address it? Jake ran a hand through his hair. I know. I just want to believe we can overcome this. The kids are innocent in all of this. They deserve a family that's whole. That's what I thought we were trying to build, Emily said softly. But then they fell apart. And now we're standing here pretending we all have the answers. The room fell silent again, and the noises of cartoon battles momentarily filled the void of their uncertainty. Jake felt the aching words left unsaid settle heavily in his chest. He glanced at the children, and something deep inside him stirred a fierce determination to make this work, no matter the cost. What if we set up a family meeting? He blurted out suddenly, the idea crackling with potential. Just us and the kids. We can talk about everything together, no secrets. It's important they hear where we all stand. What good would that do? We'll just confuse them, Lindsay protested. But her eyes betrayed a hint of consideration. No, Jake replied, his heart racing. This is their chance to see how much we love them. To see us try and work together for their happiness. That's a lesson they need to learn, right? Emily exchanged glances with Lindsay, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, Lindsay whispered, It's risky, but isn't it worth it? Jake shot back, the fire of resolve heating his words. If they're going to know how to love and forgive, they need to see it in action. They deserve to see that even broken things can become whole again. A flicker of determination ignited in Emily's eyes. Okay, Let us plan it together. A family meeting. But we need to be prepared for anything. And we need to mean it no matter how hard it gets. I'll do everything I can, Jake promised. The spark of hope was sizzling, and he felt it expand, wrapping around his heart. Just then, the door swung open, and in stepped their neighbor, Jessie, the ever-energetic woman who had been a constant in their lives. She strolled in with the kids' toy box, a wide grin on her face. "Look what I found! A treasure trove waiting to be unveiled," she exclaimed, oblivious to the tension. The triplets immediately sprang from their seats, rushing over to Jessie, their giggles spilling back into the atmosphere like sunshine breaking through storm clouds. Jake held his breath for a moment, captivated by the joyful faces of his children. "Can you see every motion, every smile?" he thought. "This is what we fight for." But as the lively atmosphere enveloped them once more, Lindsay's expression shifted subtly. She exchanged a glance with Emily, and in that fleeting moment, an unspoken doubt flickered in Jake's mind as the kids erupted in excitement over new treasures. Jake felt the ground shifting beneath them, a fragile foundation on which they were building this new hope. He couldn't shake the fear that their plans may come crashing down unexpectedly, like a bubble waiting to burst. Could they all really change together? Or was this just another moment doomed to repeat history? With those swirling questions and the buzz of children's laughter in the air, Jake realized they were closer than ever to a life-altering decision. But what lay beyond this moment of joy stung with the sharp edge of uncertainty, and he wondered if he was ready to face the truth waiting just around the corner. The excitement in the room consumed Jake for a second. Laughter bounced off the walls as the triplets explored the toy box. They were lost in a world of their own, oblivious to the heavy air settling back around their parents. The contrasting feelings clashed within him, the warmth of their joy against the cold uncertainty clawing at his heart. "Are you sure about this?" Lindsay whispered, pulling him aside for a moment. I don't want to go through another battle. The kids, they might not understand." "I know," he replied gently, searching her eyes, "but they deserve to see us try, to see us work through this. They need to know that honesty can heal, right?" She closed her eyes for a brief moment, a sigh escaping her lips. Jake could see the shadows of doubt etched deep within her. They were all still haunted by their past mistakes, the blame that thickened the air between them. Just then, Jessie's vibrant voice cut through their concern. "Kids, come check out this puzzle. It's a big one." The triplets squealed with delight, rushing towards their neighbor. Jake and Lindsay exchanged glances. Then a smile crept onto Lindsay's face, momentarily melting the tension. It reminded Jake of why they had to try again. Their love had once felt so fierce and real. Could it be reignited? But as the kids played, Jake felt another wave of anxiety washing over him. He glanced at Emily, who stood a little further away, her smile strained. The weight of her expectations hung in the air. "Okay, let us get this family meeting on the calendar," Emily said suddenly, stepping forward. "We'll plan it for this weekend. We can call it a family fun day, make it light before diving into deeper waters." "Sounds good," Jake nodded, his heart starting to race again. "Only if we stay true to our intentions," Lindsay chimed in, her voice firm yet hopeful. "We need to promise not to shut down if things get uncomfortable." The kids rushed back, clutching their newfound toys, excitedly speaking over one another about their latest quests. The innocence of their chatter softened the mood just a bit and reminded Jake of the kind of future they could still build together. But his instincts told him that honesty came with risks. Would the kids be hurt if they discovered the depth of their parents' past? Would they understand that love could struggle yet prevail? Then, unexpectedly, Emily spoke up again, breaking the fragile bubble of calm. What if we involve them in the brainstorming? Maybe we can get their input on how to make it fun." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Are you serious?" "They're only 3, maybe so," Emily said, her voice steady. "But they deserve a voice in their family too. They may surprise us." He felt a sudden rush of excitement. "Let us do it, then. Let us involve them." Jake watched as the kids engaged with Jessie, and it hit him like a bolt of lightning. They could all learn from each other. Every step could be a lesson. He wanted to foster resilience in them, not just in their relationship but in their understanding of how families could flourish. But as Jesse continued to coax laughter from the triplets, Jake's thoughts spiraled again. Would they really be able to do this? Could they break free from the chains of their history? With a sudden thump of uncertainty, his thoughts were interrupted by Jessie, holding up a glittering crown she had found among the toys. Who wants to be the queen or king of Fun Day? The triplets screamed in unison, their spirits soaring. Jake's heart thudded as the remnants of doubt still flickered deep within him. Was he being naive? As the day continued to unfold around them, a beautiful chaos, Jake's thoughts remained fixated. It was a new beginning, but how much of the past would they have to face to succeed? And with the family meeting looming, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real test was yet to come. What if they discovered more hidden truths? What if it shattered everything they were trying to build? The morning sun flooded the room, spilling golden light that danced around the remnants of yesterday's joy. The laughter of the triplets still echoed, a rich harmony of childhood innocence that felt almost transcendental against the storm brewing in Jake's heart. He stood by the window, tapping his fingers nervously on the sill. Today was the day, a family fun day that he had concocted with hope and desperation. Lindsay was bustling around the kitchen, her movements quick as she prepared snacks and drinks. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, yet he could feel that familiar fear winding around his chest. "Jake, can you grab the markers and paper from the craft drawer?" Lindsay called, her voice breaking through his spiral of thoughts. "Sure," he replied, moving mechanically toward the drawer. As he rummaged through the chaos of crayons, half-finished projects, and glitter, the reality of their situation weighed heavily on him. The kids would be expecting smiles, games, and laughter. But behind all that joy was a web of unspoken fears, a thousand what-ifs that tugged at his mind. From the corner of the room, Emily walked in with an air of resolved anxiety. "Just a quick reminder, guys, we're gonna have to address some pretty serious stuff later, all right?" She flashed a tight smile before kneeling beside Jessie, who was wrapping a piece of ribbon around a toy crown. "Can I be queen?" Jessie asked, looking up with wide eyes that sparkled with excitement. Jake felt his heart clench. "Absolutely. You can be the queen of fun today," Emily affirmed, brushing a strand of hair behind Jessie's ear with gentle care as the triplets absorbed the idea of being royalty for a day. Jake felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was their chance to create a space where love could thrive, a place where their broken pieces could fit together, even if only temporarily. Just for today, they could be a family unburdened by their past. The chaos erupted once again as everyone gathered around the table for brainstorming. Clutching markers in tiny hands, the triplets bounced in their seats. "Let us make a parade," Colin yelled, eyes wide with excitement. "No, a treasure hunt," Lily chimed in, her hands waving enthusiastically. Jessie, donning the makeshift crown, proclaimed, "We'll have a royal feast after." They erupted in giggles, the sound lifting the heavy atmosphere. Jake exchanged a glance with Lindsay, who shrugged, a smile creeping up her face. Perhaps these kids held the key. Their innocent ideas, unclouded by complicated emotions, might just guide their parents out of their tangled mess. As they filled the page with drawings and plans, Jake couldn't shake the discomfort tightening in his stomach. Should he really let the kids in on the seriousness of their parents' struggles? Would they understand that this gathering was truly about so much more than fun? Noticing the shadows in his eyes, Lindsay leaned close, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let us just focus on today, all right? We'll take it step by step, one moment at a time." Her reassurance was like a balm. "You're right." He took a breath, trying to push aside the fear, and focused on the vibrant excitement in front of him. "Okay, everyone, what will be the first royal activity of the day?" he said, injecting enthusiasm into his voice. "Let us hunt for treasure." The triplets chorused excitedly, and the room filled with anticipation. As they excitedly batted around ideas, Jake caught a glimpse of his own childhood, the carefree days where problems felt far away. For a moment, he dared to hope that today would be the dawn of something new. But as they finished their plans and laughter filled the air again, a creeping dread slid over him. Each giggle seemed to echo the darkness lurking just beneath the surface. Would this distraction be enough? Later on, when the meeting came, would all those hidden truths raise their ugly heads? Would their kids be caught in the crossfire of the secrets they carried? The clock ticked down. He felt the time slipping away, his heart racing. What lay ahead could change everything. Would today be a turning point or a heartbreaking detour? As Jake stood on the precipice of what was to come, doubts lingered like shadows. It wouldn't be long before they would have to confront the challenges waiting just beyond the laughter. What truths awaited them? And could they withstand the storm together? The sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on Jake's home, but a chill brushed against his heart. Today was about more than just fun. It was the opening act of an emotional roller coaster waiting to transpire. The kids were buzzing with excitement, their innocent laughter echoing through the halls. Jake could almost believe their world was perfect. "All right, everyone," he called, feigning confidence amidst his rising anxiety. "Let us get this treasure hunt started. Who's ready to find some hidden gems?" The triplets erupted in cheers, small hands waving wildly, their eagerness palpable. Lindsay leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed but with a soft smile forming on her lips. Emily was just beyond, collected but visibly nervous. Could they really keep their past at bay for the sake of today? Jake's heart raced as he caught Lindsay's eye, a silent exchange passing between them, understanding mixed with uncertainty. They made a plan. The living room became the site of a treasure hunt. The kids bounced from idea to idea, their little minds spinning intricate scenarios where they discover gold coins and royal jewels. Jake was enchanted, drifting back to memories of laughter-filled hunts with them. "Let us start at the big tree in the backyard," Grace exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Okay, but remember, you have to follow the clues," Jake said, excitement bubbling within him, trying to capture the essence of pure joy radiating from them as they shifted outside. Jake felt a weight transform gently. Just for now, the worries faded. He and Lindsay shared smiles, two parents who wanted their children to feel whole and loved amidst the strife that once divided them. Emily was right there too, capturing moments with a camera, her reassuring presence easing the tension. "Good job, Queen Jessie." Caleb cheered as they placed stickers on their imaginary treasure map, his radiant smile pulling warmth into Jake's heart. Moments like these made everything feel right. But as the giggles unfurled into the trees, the afternoon sun dipped, and shadows began to stretch longer across the yard. Jake's heart started to pound again. The fun would soon lead into the family meeting. They couldn't change their past, but could they shape a new reality together? They gathered in a semicircle on the grass, the vibrant energy of the day beginning to settle. "Okay, everyone, time for our royal feast," Jake announced, a lump rising in his throat. "But we have something important to discuss. Something every royal family must do." Jake stole a glance at Lindsay and Emily. He could see the uncertainty mirrored in their expressions. It was time to face it all. The kids clapped and yelled in enthusiasm, momentarily distracting him from the daunting task ahead. Jake took a deep breath, grounding himself. "This is also a chance for us to talk about how we can all be together as one big family, even though it can be tough sometimes." "What do you mean, Daddy?" Lucas blinked, a twitch of confusion on his tiny face. A flicker of panic coursed through Jake. How do you explain heartbreak to a child? But as he looked at their expectant faces, something within him steadied. "We all love you so much. Sometimes adults have problems, and we need to make the best decisions so you can always feel happy. Will everything be okay?" Grace asked, her small voice piercing through the air. "Yes, honey. We just need to talk and share how we're feeling, so you never have to worry," Jake said firmly, a newfound resolve in his heart. "Just like we had fun finding treasure, we can also find happiness again in other ways, and be honest with each other." As he spoke, something shifted in the air. The weight of honesty hung around them, but amidst it lived the flicker of hope. Lindsay gently nodded. "You deserve to know the truth, and how much we want to be there for you." Emily crouched down beside the kids, her soft smile radiating warmth. "We're a team, and we want to make sure you feel our love every day." Jake caught Lindsay's gaze, She had long been the anchor, and he could see the spark of courage igniting a deeper connection between them. With all the sincerity in his soul, Jake took a deep breath. We love each other still, even if we made mistakes. We all need to work together for your happiness. So that means we're going to do our best to be better for you. The kids nodded, their wide eyes absorbing the words, sensing the love that lingered beneath the surface. Tell us everything, Daddy, Caleb exclaimed, his sincerity wrapping around both parents. The laughter surged again, lighter than before. As the three of them sat in a circle, Jake realized this was not only for the kids, but for him too, an affirmation of love, acceptance, and forgiveness at that moment. As the sun finally descended behind the horizon, painting the sky in deep pastels, Jake felt something fragile yet invincible spark between them. Hope.it was a long and winding road ahead, but sitting there with their kids, joy still twinkling in their innocent eyes, he was convinced they could hold together even if just for today. The future was still shrouded, but with newfound strength, the promise of family flickered like a brilliant beacon in the growing dusk. This could be the start of something beautiful. As laughter rolled over the group. As voices intertwined with stories, Jake held Lindsay's hand, a shared understanding reshaping their bond. And in that fleeting moment, they all understood. Growth required not just bravery, but togetherness. The past might never fully fade, but today, they crafted a memory ripe with potential. They were moving forward, one step at a time toward a family reborn. And with that, Jake knew this was just the beginning. Now, as the lights fade on this chapter, there is a new journey ahead, so if you haven't already, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss out on our next exclusive stories, moments of transformation, and heartfelt journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let us keep this momentum going strong. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. And finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who really need to see this transformation today. Don't wait not even one more second. True fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.